which pushes his hips closer to the golf ball and his head further away from the ball. Back. And he cracked the whip going as far out to the right as he possibly could. And that's just his normal ball. And so then they'll do what? They will move in, up, and around on the through side. Obviously, when we're vertical like this, we don't have any early extension issues because we're not bent over. And his eyeballs will be level to the ground post-impact. What's up, guys? Coach Scott Yurgz here at Philadelphia Cricket Club, and today we are going to talk about your early extension and how that relates to your swing plane. How do the two work together? But first, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button below, and while you're down there, check out the comments, click the link down there, and get yourself a free lesson from me so we can make 2025 your best season yet. So early extension and swing plane go hand in hand. The players that have the most amount of early extension tend to have a lot of shots and a lot of misses that will look like this. There'll be more pushes, their hips will be closer to the golf ball at impact, and sometimes they even get the dreaded shanks. So to get a better view of what an early extender looks like, we're gonna take a look at a video of one of my students, Max. So Max is a super athletic sophomore in high school. He plays on the basketball team and he's also on the JV golf team. What you're going to notice about Max is he does a lot of great things with his backswing and his golf swing in general, but he has a boatload of early extension, and he has the tendency to hit a lot of shots off the heel of the club, the hosel of the club, and he has to do a whole lot of work through impact with his arms and hands to just get the face on the ball properly. So Max's early extension comes from two places. Number one, Max is attempting to get the club to work in to out. So he's pushing off the ground as hard as he can, and he's also trying to push off the ground to generate as much speed and force into the golf ball. So as he does that, he's only using the ground vertically, which pushes his hips closer to the golf ball and his head further away from the ball. As you can see, the more he does that, the higher the handle of the club has to go, and the more exposed the hosel tends to get. So in a perfect world, from a down the line view, all my golfers would have a swing where when they set up to the golf ball, they have some amount of forward bend. And on the backswing, they maintain a similar, if not the same amount of forward bend from the down the line view. On the way down, we'd like to maintain it again. And then post impact, we'd like to see the same amount of forward bend on the opposite side through the golf ball. Unfortunately, what we see from Max is that he takes the club back, stays in the right amount of forward bend, but as he comes down, that angle and inclination to the ball changes quite a bit. So the first step of fixing Max's early extension was, number one, getting him a visual of what the swing does on the way back and on the way through. Understanding both sides of the golf swing is going to be imperative to fixing the problem for Max. So if we took this hula hoop and stuck it around our waist and kind of put it on an angle perpendicular to our inclination. So if I'm bent over 30 degrees here, I'd like that hula hoop to be about 90 degrees to my inclination. What you notice is if I maintain my inclination and the hula hoop stays in the same spot, my hands will work in, up, and around. On the way down, they'll also come back to the golf ball, and then they'll do what? They will move in, up, and around on the through side. What most early extenders do is they work the club back fairly well on the backswing, and then they start to extend, shift the path really far to the right, come into out some enormous amount, and then the hands and arms continue to work in, up, and out towards right field forever. What Max needed to understand was how the club worked around him, in, up, and around on the through side. So yes, the hula hoop works, it's effective, but the number one way I've ever seen this explained to someone is working with this massive rope you're gonna see here. So I love this idea. So this rope, very simple. Now you can, obviously you're not probably gonna have this rope at your disposal, but maybe you've got, something similar. So maybe it could even be an extension cord. It doesn't really matter. I need something that's got a little bit of heft to it and a little bit of length. It doesn't have to be 30, 40 feet long. What I had Max do was I had him start to move the rope back and forth. And you can see me making a mess of all these tees down in front of me. But you're noticing from a down the line view, the handle of this rope or whatever it is, your club, could be a towel, is working in, up, and around. I gave this to Max, and the first thing he did was work the club in, up, and around on the way back. And he cracked the whip going as far out to the right as he possibly could. And that's just his normal tendency. So you would see the rope pull in, up, and around, bam, and he'd be cracking the rope out to right center field. The task, though, and I gave him this as the idea, I said, Max, I need to see if you can crack that whip or crack the rope more out in front of you towards the target, or even more to the left. I want to see the handle of that rope move as far left as humanly possible. So we watched his rope swings go from way out to the right to a little less to the right, a little more down the line. And as they got bigger and bigger, the handle kept working more around him and more to the left. I think this is a fantastic visual, especially from a down the line camera angle, to get a sense of where the hand path works in the golf swing at all times. Now, yes, I made a colossal mess on the mat, but what happened here is Max had a great understanding that the swing and the hand path needed to be the same on both sides or similar to get him the result he was looking for. What you also noticed was during the process of making those swings, the more the handle of the club worked around and left, the more his right shoulder worked down, the more his left hip went behind him, more open he got through the golf ball. He was starting to fix his early extension. Now you're probably wondering, how do we make that, a much more effective drill with a golf club in our hand? What are we going to do to fix that? Here's what we did to make it functional. All right, so swinging a rope around, that's really great, but we needed to make Max's swing a little more functional during that lesson. So what we did, I gave him a few instructions on how to make the swing work just like it was when the rope was there and he was swinging it in, up, and around on both sides. So the first thing I said was, Max, I want you to take your stance, put your arms straight and, kind of get them as long and straight as humanly possible, make them feel like steel rods or telephone poles, and stand up nice and tall. I wanted him to work the club 90 degrees back, 90 degrees forward, and then another 90 all the way through like where the golf ball or his finish position would be. So we started there. We went back, through. Obviously, when we're vertical like this, we don't have any early extension issues because we're not bent over. A couple swings later, I had him bent 15, 20 degrees from the hips. Same thing, stiff arms, 90, 90, 90, all the way around. And then we finally got all the way to the ground. And I said, Max, do me a favor. Put a little bit of weight on your lead foot, and I want you to bend as far over as you can to get the club to the ground. And I want you to keep those arms nice and stiff. And you're gonna go 90, 90, 90 into the golf ball. And you can see that's not the easiest drill. We kind of hit it a little bit thin. We're gonna do it again. Here we go. Weight a little bit forward, 90, stiff arms, and around. And from the down the line angle, you'll see my arms work in, up, and around. As we kept doing it, we could see Max get the hands to work around, the early extension to kind of dissipate a little bit. But as he kind of got a little bit more comfortable and started swinging bigger and faster, that early extension started to peer back into his swing. One of the reasons it did, and this is the last piece that kind of took it all from super early extension to beautiful maintaining his inclination, was his head and his eyeballs. One of the things Max would do is he would swing faster and faster. Is he would swing, he would hit the ball, and his eyeballs would be level to the ground post-impact. His ears would look like this. They'd be kind of parallel to the ground. What I really need from you is I need you to feel, and this would be a great visual, I need you to feel like when you make your backswing, your head is going to pivot on an angle. It doesn't want to change planes. It wants to pivot from your neck to help you stay in your inclination. So when I make my backswing, my eyes might tilt to this side. My left ear feels like it's a little more down. I come back into the golf ball, here's impact. And as I make my way through impact, my right ear is lower than my left and my eyes are no longer parallel to the ground. So we had Max do that, and we made that little tiny change. So when he would hit these golf balls, we'd push his chin down a little bit so we could see the ball better, so his eyes weren't super straight up in the air, peered down a little bit more at the golf ball, and then we allowed his ears or his eyes to change their line of sight. So when he hit the golf ball, he maintained his inclination for longer. So if you are looking to fix your early extension, you're still having a hard time doing it after this video, click the link in the bottom, get yourself an online lesson, and I'd be more than happy to make 2025 your best season ever.